Hello everyone, welcome to part 4 of my Server 2025 training series. Today we're going to cover Active Directory users, groups, and organizational unit management. A user inside of Active Directory is just going to be a person or entity, so you can think about potentially a service account, that'd be a good example, that has an account in Active Directory's database. So think about anything that has a login. On groups, they're just going to be a collection of users, computers, or other groups because you can nest groups inside of groups. They're mainly used for security-based purposes, and they really help with large-scale permission delegation out to your users inside of the domain. Groups can also be used as distribution lists if you're utilizing an integration with Office 365 via AD Connect, which has now recently been rebranded to Intra ID Sync. Organizational units, they're just containers used to store all of the above mentioned, and they really help with organizing your structure and applying group policy objects as well. You'll see that as a common use for OUs. Now that we have a general idea of what we're going to be covering in this lesson, we're going to hop right into our domain controller VM that we created in the last lesson. So if you recall, we opened Active Directory users and computers and we pinned that to the taskbar. This is going to be our main AD management tool. There is the newer Active Directory Administrative Center, and honestly, you're probably going to hop back and forth between the two because each one does something better than the other one, and you'll see that later on in the other courses that we're going to go through. But for now, we are going to use the standard Active Directory users and computers. So we're going to right click and we're going to create new, and we're going to do a new organizational unit. You'll see a little checkbox here that says protect container from accidental deletion. I would recommend usually just leaving that checked. It really helps to ensure someone doesn't delete anything by accident. So really it's not a problem to leave it enabled, and I'll show you how you can take that off pretty easily here in a moment. But in most environments, you're going to see organizational units laid out by departments. So for this example, we're just going to call this home office. And we're going to create two other OUs, and we're going to call one users, and we're going to call the next computers. All right, just to show you guys really fast how you can disable that protect from accidental deletion. If you go to properties, you're going to see that you don't have an object tab. What we actually have to do, and I highly recommend whenever you first install Active Directory and you open AD users and computers the first time, just go up here to view, and we're going to enable advanced features. So you're going to see this change a little bit. You're going to see some more OUs pop up. These are typically hidden unless you check the advanced features box. But now you see if we go to our home office and properties, we now have our object tab. We can deselect the protect object from accidental deletion. And we also have the attribute editor here. This is extremely handy because you can actually edit some things a little quicker in here. And you'll see when you get more familiar with Active Directory that literally everything that you change is just an attribute. Now that we have our newly created OUs, let's create our first user account. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to create myself a domain admin account. I'm just going to call this DA Cody Green so it matches my name. We're going to do DA_C Green for the logon name. And the reason I'm doing this is ideally your administrative accounts need to be separate from your normal accounts. Makes things a little more secure. Also, whenever you initially create your domain and you see that administrator account that we've been signing into, you don't want everyone signing into the same account. Everyone needs their own individual account. It's going to make auditing a lot easier and your environment overall much more secure. So we're going to click next. I don't want to change the password at next logon. And we're going to go ahead and set a secure password. And next, and finish. So there I am. There's my new account. We're going to go to properties. We're going to go to member of. You see I'm currently just a member of domain users, which means I just have access to the domain. This is default group that's assigned to any new user in your domain. And we're going to go ahead and add domain admins. All right, so that's going to cover me having my admin account here. And we're going to go ahead and sign out and ensure we can sign into this new account. All right, perfect. It's going to take just a few minutes for that profile to be set up. So we'll resume as soon as that's fully loaded. All right, now that we're in our newly created domain admin account, we're going to go ahead and create one additional OU. And we're just going to call this one security groups. And we're going to right click and we're going to click new. We're going to go ahead and create a new group. And you're going to see a couple options here. The global and universal are by far the most common and probably the only ones that you're ever going to see or use. So the only real difference is a universal group can contain members from any domain within a forest. So if you're doing a lot of cross-domain access management, you probably want to go with a universal group, especially if you plan on expanding, so it's already set. Global group is just limited to members from the same domain only. So for us, for now, we're just going to do a global group, and we're going to call this security group test. And there's our group. So we can just right click, click properties, and you can see if we ever want to change that to universal, you can just do that here. Same thing if you want to change it to a distribution list. You can check the members and members of tab. And we're just going to click members for now. And we are going to add my account here. And click apply. And that's pretty much it. So that's going to cover creating users, organizational units, as well as groups. And I'll show you just real quick the Active Directory Administrative Center. It's a little newer. So it's pretty straightforward. The main benefit I'll say with this is going to be with the attribute editor. It makes it a lot easier to use if you have to actually edit any attributes. So to get to it here, I have to click on the user, I have to go to attribute editor. But one thing it's very annoying that you'll find is if we go up here and we find my user account, and let's say I want to edit the attributes from here. So you actually can't. If you search for a user and you do it from here, it just doesn't appear. But if you go to the new Active Directory Administrative Center, there I am. I can right click, click properties, extensions, and attribute editor is going to be right there. So it's a lot more convenient. This interface is a little prettier in some regards, but you'll definitely swap in between the two and kind of just use whatever works best for you and whatever you need in the heat of the moment. But that concludes it for this lesson. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you join me for the next one.